We're going to spend some time considering the Last Supper from Mark chapter 14. This is the last meal that Jesus shares with his disciples, his close friends, before his betrayal, his arrest, his trials, and his crucifixion. Jesus meets with his disciples in an upper room and they share a meal together. It's not any old meal, it's the Jewish Passover meal, for it happens at the Jewish festival of Passover. And it's important to give this passage in Mark chapter 14 some context and understand the significance of the Passover for the Jewish people. The concept of Passover goes all the way back to one of the early books of the Old Testament called the book of Exodus. And in this book we read about a time in the history of the Jewish people, a time long before they were even called Jews, when the ancient Israelites, as they were known, were in slavery in Egypt. They were being oppressed by their Egyptian taskmasters and they cried out to God in their distress, "God, please save us." And we're told that God heard their prayer and he raised up a great leader called Moses, who he commissioned to lead his people out of slavery in Egypt. Moses went to the Egyptian ruler, the Pharaoh, and demanded that he let the people of Israel go. But we read in the book of Exodus that Pharaoh was stubborn and hard-hearted, so he refused. And then God sent what have become known as the 10 plagues on Egypt. Plague after plague was sent upon Egypt to try and convince the Pharaoh to relent and let the people leave Egypt. But each time the Pharaoh doggedly stuck in his heels and refused to allow the ancient Israelites to leave the land of Egypt. That is until the 10th and final plague, which was God sending the angel of death upon Egypt. And in the dead of the night, the angel of death swept through Egypt, killing the firstborn in every household. But Moses told the people of Israel to slaughter a lamb and take the blood from that animal and spread it around their doorways. And Moses said, when the angel of death sees the blood, he will pass over you. That's where the term Passover comes from. So in the event, it was the firstborn in each Egyptian household that was killed by the angel of death. And the firstborn in each ancient Israelite household remained untouched. Now, this was the plague that convinced Pharaoh finally that he needed to let the people of Israel go. And this marks the beginning of what became known as the Exodus. The people of God, the ancient Israelites, leaving slavery in Egypt and entering a new future, a future of wholeness and blessing. Now, the reason this is so significant is because Christians believe that through his death on the cross, which, as we'll see in a few moments, is foretold in a number of ways at this last meal that Jesus shares with his disciples. Through his death on the cross, Jesus brings about a new Exodus. It's very significant, therefore, that Jesus shares this meal with his disciples at the festival of Passover. It marks a moment where Jesus is making it possible for people to have a new future, a future of liberation, a future where they're free from everything that oppresses. Not in terms of being free from taskmasters, from slave masters, but Christians believe that through his death, Jesus brought about liberation from sin and even from death itself. So that then is a little bit of the historical background to the Passover meal.